Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Bombers are back, baby. This is the Bombers I remember. So not like an unbelievably dominating performance, but a lot of things I like in this game that we finally fixed that had been issues for us for a bit. So I'm glad to see us kind of finally address that. And this being a bit of the wake-up call that last game being a bit of the wake-up call I was hoping it would be. And certain things, even though we didn't win by 10,000 points, there were certain things that, again, they fixed that I had been harping on for a few weeks. But let's start into here the pregame. This game would be delayed about an hour and 45 minutes. So this game would be delayed quite a while. There was rain. There was a lot of lightning there. That's the thing. They'll play in the rain, but they won't play in the lightning. There was lightning there. Actually, Rick, my buddy from CFL Central, was at this game. He sent me a bunch of footage. I actually think I'll be putting that. I'll put that actually in the other video. I'll put that in the CFL Central recap video of that week. At least I think I'll probably be doing that. So if you want to see any of that, make sure to check it out. Make sure you guys subscribe to CFL Central if you guys have not already. We do league-wide CFL coverage. There's a lot of great stuff there. But let's get into this game. So Bombers Alouettes first quarter. There would be a 2-0 to start for the Bombers. Not ideal. The Alouettes would go down. They would actually miss a field goal, so it'd be still 0-0. Bombers offense gets going and a long pass, but there'd be pass interference against the Alouettes. First down, Bombers. Excellent. Good move. Sometimes it's good to go for those big passes because obviously you want to make it, but even if you don't, there's a higher chance on those long bombs that DBs are going to get afraid and they're going to try to interfere, maybe try to get away with a bit more. Now, typically that doesn't end up working. They'll take a pass interference, and that can just get you a lot, even if you don't even catch the ball, because you'll go to where the infraction occurred. But that doesn't matter because Drew Wolotarski would get himself a touchdown. Oh, he's going for it. Oh, he's got it. There we go. No question. Attaboy, Wally. Wolotarski gets the first touchdown here for the Bombers. The convert is good, 7-0 Winnipeg. There'd be offensive pass interference by the Alouettes here. They would go down a bit, and I believe this was Mack, who had a pretty good game there for the Alouettes. He was definitely their go-to receiver, especially since Greg Ellingson is out for the Alouettes. And actually, I should have mentioned that Jackson Jeffcoat's back in. My goodness, I forgot to mention that. Jackson Jeffcoat's back in, made a huge difference. And I'll explain. And it wasn't always necessarily because of him, but it was because of kind of the effects of him being in. But I'll get into that a little bit later. But McRae would have a nice big 30-yard run. I was really pleased with McRae. This jet sweep route was working so much better today. Like, normally we have Dembski running that route. Dembski was actually not playing today as him and his wife were expecting the birth of their child. So congratulations to the Dembskis on that. I hope all goes good. And but yeah, no, a big change in this jet sweep route, because this jet sweep route the Bombers have struggled with, but they've had it in their playbook for a while. They'd run Dembski. They'd typically only get like 3 or 4 yards out of it, so it hasn't really worked that well. But today we ran it with Rasheed Bailey as well as McRae, and it worked a lot better. So it seems to me that because those guys got a bit more speed than Dembski does, and sometimes they're like, especially McRae with how small he is and how much he can really like slip through with all the momentum he gets off that run across the side there, run across down the line of scrimmage, but a few yards back, really works well with that route. So I would consider, if we're going to run that, maybe try not running with Dembski and running a bit with McRae and Bailey. Maybe try that against some other teams, see if it works. It might not, but I'd say give it a try. It worked well before. Oliveira would run, and he fumbles the ball, sadly. But it is what it is. We'll get into the second corner. Montreal drives it down a bit, but doesn't get much. There'll be a 45-yard field goal for Sergio Castillo. He made that thing look so easy. 10-0 Bombers. Go back and forth a little bit. There would be a huge pass for Dalton Schoen. I was very pleased with him. I was pleased with his usage today. We actually used him a bit, which is nice to see. Dalton Schoen is an aspect that is so unbelievably useful. We have him for so incredibly cheap. We have to be using that. We have that. Castillo misses a kick, but O'Shea calls a clutch timeout. And then we would try to fake the kick. But my problem here is, why is Sheehan our placeholder here? And the simple reason is that typically the placeholder on a football team is the backup quarterback. The reason is because, first off, you don't want to have your starting quarterback there because the placeholder is susceptible to getting hit. They're in not the most ideal spot, but you want a guy who can have a decent arm. That's because if you're going to go for a fake, you have someone that can easily throw that fake, which is why a guy like Drew Brown or Dakota Prukop should be in for this. Dakota Prukop, he gets a pass because he hasn't been here very long, but Drew Brown should be in for this play. He should be their placeholder here. And I know they don't intend to make this a fake. This is more of he just couldn't control the ball. But the point is that that's something you have to anticipate. So I think the fact, so we had Sheehan, he tried to make something out of it, but I mean, he's a punter. He's not a quarterback. So the throw was not ideal and we got nothing. So it's one of those things where we really should be putting Drew Brown in that spot. So that way, if a situation does like that happen, even if we're not intending on faking it, there's at least a chance we can make it something if we have our backup quarterback in that spot. But that would be it to end the half. We go into the second half of this game, third quarter. Houston recovers a fumble after Stanback gets hit hard, Bomber ball. Great to see that. Houston had a solid game. Stanback had a really good game for the Montreal Alouettes. Because it's interesting actually seeing William Stanback healthy. But, you know, he was able to cause some problems for us, but we did really good at shutting him down, especially later in this game. We would get a bit of a drive, but it goes nowhere. There would be a same for Montreal, but that would be okay because we would get ourselves a very nice sack. And then at this point, this is where I'm really starting to get pleased with Oliveira. Now, obviously, he had that fumble earlier in the game where he's just got to lock down on that a bit more and hold on to that. But overall, Oliveira, this game and these past few games, has just, he plays strong, he punches it through, and he just plays a really, really rock solid running back game. He punches that ball. He sheds tackles and he just keeps, he's that tank. He just keeps going and going and going. It just feels like Oliveira, I can just imagine if anyone ever did like sports training or whatever, they have resistance bands where you can put like two people in one, where one guy's running and then the other guy's like trying to like hold him back and resist. It feels like Oliveira would be the guy that's just tanking through that and not letting anything pass. Or even if you see it in hockey, you'll see with the parachutes or whatever, or in football even, you'll see it with the parachutes. But it feels like he's just the tank that just keeps going. There's nothing that's going to stop him. And I love that mentality. I love his performance that he's been putting in, and it's been great, and it's been super helpful for the running game, especially if we have to ease off the throwing game. We had to a few times in this game simply for the fact that it was pouring rain. So it's really hard to keep control of that ball, but really, really well done job by Zach Caleros considering the circumstances in that regard. There would be a huge pass by Cody Fajardo. However, they would get all the way down the field, and then with under 5 yards, Brendan Alexander with a clutch interception. He watches this ball goes in, steps right in front of it, snags it, and goes all just a thing of beauty.
Let's go!
What the hell did Brendan Alexander just do?
Alexander
That
totally was sitting.
He was waiting for that.
Throw.
Oh my gosh! That stepped right in
Look
front
at that.
and took that.
Yep, here I go. Here
And
I
this
go.
is great because literally,
Here I come to save the
like
day.
one play before, we're like, he just threw for however many yards, and then the very next play, Alexander shut everything down.
I'd just like to point out that I didn't say uh-oh. I always feel like we're gonna.
Zach said, "Uh-oh."
You didn't say uh-oh. You just went.
Oh.
I just feel like we're gonna turn it around.
Brendan Alexander with the gorgeous interception, and he gets about 50 yards in this run. The Bombers would punch it down, and like I said, Dalton Schoen with a great game gets himself a touchdown.
He's got the penalty.
There we go! Nicely done.
Who caught that?
Schoen.
Oh, Sean again.
Well, no, Wolotarski got the first one.
Right, but Sean's made a lot of catches.
Yes, because he's great. Dalton Schoen with the touchdown. The convert is good. 17-0 Winnipeg. Fourth quarter. It would go back and forth a bit. we would sadly throw a pick. It is what it is. Montreal drives the field, but there would be a big sack on Cody Fajardo. Really, really pleased with the D-line this game and the problems they were able to cause. It really felt like something awakened in them, and they woke up and just really got this going. The Alouettes would get a touchdown. However, this gets overturned as Mack never has control of the ball. So it goes in, and I thought this was a touchdown. Now, I didn't look too closely. We didn't even challenge for this. Just any touchdowns, all touchdowns get reviewed by the command center, and the command center actually overturned the call on the field. And that's because he gets the ball, it goes into his chest, and it kind of goes down, and it looks like he just has it. But in reality, our guy's got a hand in there. It's like banging around. It's banging off his chest into his hands. He gets down, and he doesn't really have control of that ball. It's bouncing around like it's in a pinball machine. So they rule this an incomplete pass, which is the right call. He did not have control of that ball, to be fair. So it is what it is. The Alouettes would have to settle for a field goal instead, making this 17-3 for the Bombers. There would be an illegal block, but it doesn't matter as an illegal block on the Alouettes, but it doesn't matter as the Bombers would force a fumble and recover that Bomber ball. So we'll decline the penalty, take that instead because we'd rather have possession, of course. Goes back and forth a bit. There would be at this point, this is when I'm really starting to realize this is a huge bounce back game for Willie Jefferson. Holy moly, because Willie Jefferson has been okay this season. Not because he's been bad. He hasn't been bad. He's been a little invisible. He hasn't, Willie Jefferson is a guy that makes a scene. He's a guy that uses that tall build, those long arms, swatting balls down, getting around, grabbing that quarterback and throwing him to the ground. And he's known for that. And then he does the big air guitar, everything he does all the Willie Jeffersons of it. And it's something that you get used to seeing as a Bomber fan. And it's just like, where has that been these past few games? He's just kind of played all right, you know? But Willie Jefferson really tuned in this game, and he really got this going. And overall, I was really pleased with this game. There would be a huge pass from Fajardo to Mack, because, again, he was their go-to receiver for this game. And then there would be another sack and the forced fumble recovered for the Bombers. The Bombers would punch it down just a bit more, and then they would take a knee to end this game out. So what do we think of this game? This game was huge. This game was very, very big. And so the offense, ideal, not putting up quite as much as ideal, but because of the circumstances with the weather, I'm not too disappointed. But the main thing here is the Bombers' defense. This is the biggest difference this game is because before this game, the 3 games the Bombers played, the least amount of points they've given up is 27 to Saskatchewan. And that is not sustainable. You're going to have games that are going to be closer games than that. There are going to be lower scoring games. And if the best your defense can do is hold them to 27 points, that's at least 4 touchdowns. That's not ideal. And so they really, really stepped up this game. They were picking stuff off. They were telegraphing these plays. They were playing really good coverage. Willie Jefferson was putting a lot of pressure on. And with Jackson Jeffcoat back, this is really good. Jackson Jeffcoat had a solid game. But the thing is that because there was the big disparity between Haba and Willie Jefferson in the sense of Haba is good, he's not Willie Jefferson. He is not. And he's not even Jackson Jeffcoat. But the thing is, Jackson Jeffcoat is a lot similar in skill level to Willie Jefferson than Haba is. So what this essentially means is that Montreal has to pay, instead of being able to focus their blocks more on Willie Jefferson and do a 2C2 where they have both linemen go on to that and then one swing up and take the linebacker on a running play. It's called a 2C2. 2 linemen see 2 defenders. That's so, guess I'm just teaching lineman terms now. I played a lineman, so I know some of these terms. But the point is that instead of them being able to focus their blocking schemes on Willie Jefferson, they now have to split that both ways. They can't rely on Willie Jefferson. Otherwise, Jackson Jeffcoat is going to blow past them all game, and they know that. So it's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to kind of split. They're going to have to kind of try to cover them evenly and hope that they're able to stop Willie Jefferson and able to stop Jackson Jeffcoat. And so with this newfound focus on Jackson Jeffcoat coming into this lineup, I think that really gave a little bit of breathing room for Willie Jefferson to be able to apply a bit more pressure than he normally would, as he had a little bit less blocks to deal with. So I was happy to see that. Happy to see Jackson Jeffcoat back in the lineup and not on the injury list, as we have a decent amount of guys going on that. I wasn't too concerned about Oliver not playing this game, because there was a lot of people being like, oh, is he going to play? Is he going to play? Because, he's not practicing or whatever. I'm like, well, there was a few practices he had to sit out this past week. So I'm not concerned, but honestly, Oliveira has been so consistent. He's been so great so far. I'm not concerned with his play. 17-3 to victory for the Bombers. That's good. That's good. This is the game we needed. God, those air horns were so annoying. Like, actually, I don't even know if those air horns are even allowed in the Bomber Stadium. And also, it's one of those things where I'm surprised that they were allowing that, in the sense of, like, the only ones that you can have at the Bomber games are the ones where you blow into it, but it's you making the noise. It's not you pressing a button and the button makes noise. So it was one of those things where, when it comes to making noise to cause a distraction, I'm actually kind of surprised those are allowed, in the sense of, you could argue that someone could turn on a speaker and make a lot of noise. And it's like, well, they're not making the noise. This object that they have is. The same way with an air horn. But interesting. I digress. It was just kind of a thing I was thinking about. Overall, I'm really, really pleased with the Bombers this game. I do hope the offense gets going a bit more when they have some nicer weather. This defense needs to stay locked down like this, though. We went from not getting a touchdown to not giving up a touchdown. And I'm very pleased that we didn't give up a touchdown. Let's absolutely keep that going. But overall, like I said, I'm really pleased with the way the Bombers were able to perform this week and the performance that they put up. I just do hope that, again, when the weather gets a bit better, I expect that we're going to be putting up a bit more points on offense. But it is what it is. We are back at home next week. We got the Calgary Stampeders, so got to be ready for this next game. I'm sure we can be. There's no reason that we will not be able to beat this team. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this game in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like this video and share it around. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.